guys, what's going on? It's Colin here again, back with another engine video. Some of you guys actually may remember this engine, but this is my 1928 Fuller & Johnson NC. The info tag is right here. So there you go. But this is actually my first ever flywheel engine. I bought this, I think, a year and a month or two ago. And basically I'd finally gotten it in my mind that I was going to cough up some cash and buy myself a hit and miss engine because I'd wanted one for forever. And I was about to buy one off my buddy Brad when I saw this thing come up cheap on Facebook Marketplace. At least cheaper than any other engine that was on Facebook Marketplace. I think the guy was asking like $400 as opposed to like the $1,000 engines I was seeing that were somewhat local. And I figured, you know what the hell, I might as well message him, see if I can't get it any cheaper, because I didn't really want to shell out 400 something bucks for it at the time. So we ended up going back and forth. He liked the idea that it was a young kid getting it and getting into the stuff. And we agreed on a price that was a hell of a lot cheaper than 400. And we were both pretty happy, I think. And so it was pretty much complete. The only thing that was missing was the mag. That wasn't on there, and it wasn't on the cart. It was just on those skids there. And as I was rolling it out of his driveway, he had it on this like little dolly thing that seemed very secure at the time. I hit a bump in the driveway, and the whole thing just went flump right on its side, and it busted one of the ears off the rocker arm. So I was pretty pissed. I'd already paid him. He was just kind of like, he just kind of sighed and was like, well, it's your engine now, so whatever. But luckily I have some friends that can do some welding, and they welded that back on for me, as you can probably see. But I actually did a video on this about a year ago where I pulled it apart and did some work on it, and I think I ended that video off saying I was going to get that piece welded. Ever since then I've been meaning to do an update video on it, but I always wanted it to be completely done by the time I did the next video on it, and there just kept being things added to the list. So it was like, I got it running, I was like, okay, I'll do a video, and then I got, materials for a cart, and I was like, okay, I'll do the video after I make the cart. After I made the cart, I had ignition issues, so I was like, okay, let me wait until I can get a real mag for it to make the video. Got the mag for it, then I had a bunch of other issues pop up, so I was like, you know what, let me wait till those are done. Those took forever, but here we are. It's finally done. The only thing that I'm going to add to it is I'm going to replace this pipe and, plug with an actual nice valve. But otherwise, it's all done. It's running great. No more issues. And I'm very happy with it. So I guess I can go over some of the stuff that's changed since the last video. The biggest one being the cart. Originally, it came with the two skids it's kind of sitting on. And then somebody at the Long Island Antique Power Association gave me this steering thing here and those axle supports in the back, and I got some wheels off my buddy Brad, and I was able to make some axles with pipe, and I built a nice cart for it, cut down those pieces of wood with my dad, and it came out pretty darn good. It's very dirty now because I've been running it and I didn't clean it up before the video, but it does look really, really good, and I'm pretty happy with it. The only thing I'm going to probably do is make an actual permanent handle for it. I have the little supports there for it, but I just got to bend up a piece of metal or two, and we're going to come down and bring it to a wooden handle that's going to come out like that. But for now, I've just been hooking ratchet straps on each end of the pipe and towing it around that way. So that's been alright, but the cart itself is very sturdy, and I'm pretty happy with it. The next thing I did was I finally coughed up some cash and got a real EK mag for it. Somebody on the hit and miss page was kind enough to send me this piece here for free, which I really appreciated. Got the spring from the hardware store. Had to do some more timing adjustment, but that's good. I made a new pin for here because the original one I lost. I forget what happened to it. Actually, you know what? It fell down in the hopper and I could never find it again. That's what happened to it. But I made that out of some half-inch round stock. So that was cool. It made a new fuel line. And then more recently, I had some rather major mechanical issues with it. well, actually, backtracking a little bit, I had some issues with the latch out, so I fixed those. But then more recently I had some more major mechanical issues. The wrist pin bushing was completely shot and it was knocking like crazy. So I brought that down to my friend who's a machinist, and he made a new one. And the other things I had him do were the head where it met up and the gasket. I had him make me a new copper gasket, and he surfaced the head around where it meets on that gasket because it was all chewed up. And then the other thing that happened to this engine was that this spark plug tube kind of came out to about there. And I noticed one day that there was smoke coming out from around the plug, and I looked and there was a crack that went all the way down in towards the head. So what I had him do for me was mill down that whole plug thing and then retap it to kind of eliminate the crack rather than trying to weld it and whatnot. And all those things came out great. The only thing that's a little weird is that he tapped this piece in here. He tapped all the way down through to the head, but the plug doesn't seem to want to go in all the way. It gets kind of stiff. It threads in fine like halfway and then it jams, which almost makes it seem like the thread's wrong even though it's not. So I'm not entirely sure, but it's in there tight enough that it seals and it works, and I don't think it's putting any extra stress on anything. But those were the more major mechanical issues which I've resolved, and now it runs very well and I'm very happy with it. But yeah, this was kind of a pretty beat and tired engine. There's a lot of damage, like pitting in the cylinder from where water got in it at one point and froze probably. But it's all good. It's all right. It's not, obviously it's not ideal, but it's not worth getting this engine sleeved. And like the valves are super sloppy and everything. But it does run and it runs good, and it's just a show engine at this point. So now that the more like major mechanical issues have been resolved, I'm willing to live with sloppy valves and a kind of worn cylinder and, you know, pitted cylinder and stuff like that. But yeah, overall I'm still pretty happy with it. I mean, I probably should have gotten it a little cheaper if I had known all the issues it had, but whatever. It's in pretty good shape. I'm still not entirely sure whether this thing has been restored at one point or this is original paint. I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that it may have been restored a very long time ago, but not entirely sure. Who knows? It might be original, but overall, the paint's in pretty decent shape. I cleaned that all up. I actually have to clean up the card a little bit because it's pretty nasty from getting oil and stuff all over it. But anyways, I figured without further ado, seeing as though it's been over a year that some of you guys have been waiting, I'm gonna go and prep this thing up and we'll see if we can't fire it up. Alright, I figured I'd take you guys along for a ride. What the heck. So we'll turn the cylinder oiler on, let that start dripping some oil down. We're gonna crank down on the grease cups here, pour some grease into the bearings. I usually go until I start seeing it puke out somewhere. There's one down in here too. As you can tell, I like my engines well lubricated. Then we're gonna go around with our oil cup here. Gonna put a little bit in there. A little bit in by the valves where they go, lubricate those. I put a little bit here because it slides through. A little bit in the mag, just a tiny bit in the mag. A little bit on that point. There's a point down there. There's a point there. I usually shoot a little bit on the cam lobe. And there's another point down there. And I think that's about it in terms of lubrication. The mixture's already set, so we're going to choke that, put the timing lever in the retard position, and I'm going to send you guys down on something, and I'm going to give these wheels a crank, and we'll see if it won't fire up for us. Well, I was going to record me starting this thing, but it decided it wanted to have issues today, and it wasn't very cooperating. Usually this thing starts up right away, but I'm thinking I'm dealing with a sticking check ball, because it would run perfect and then it would die. Either that or the plug's loaded up a little bit, but it seems to be running all right now, knock on wood. So hopefully we can get it through a video and then I can pull it apart and see what's going on. But either way, I'm pretty happy with the way this thing runs. It runs pretty smooth, and like I said, it usually starts pretty easily. And I'm pretty happy with the speed it's running at too. It's not revving its guts out, but it's also you know, I probably could get it slower, but I don't know. I think there's a good speed where it will run and be happy. You try and make it too slow and it'll be very temperamental. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Nice and quiet now that the wrist pin knock is gone. But overall, I really do like this engine a lot. There's a lot of mechanical things going on between it being an open crank. As you can see there, you can see the piston, connecting rod, and crank whirring around like crazy in there. Over here, you can see the weight going around inside the flywheel, and the latch out, and the cam, and everything. And then even over here, the mechanism for the trip on the mag is kind of neat to watch. And you got the valves that go in and out too. So overall, it's kind of a neat engine to watch. And this exhaust pipe actually came with the thing, but the way they had it very loose, and it was leaning over, and they had an S-hook around it that went into the hopper, which looked like crap. So I desoldered the elbow there, and I took, you know, a wrench and cranked in that threaded piece there, and I resoldered it back on so it's upright and actually holds its position. And I actually like it a lot. It sounds pretty good. And you can really kind of hear it breathing. Whenever it misses and the exhaust valve is open, you can hear it. Which I like. It's kind of unique. But I'm pretty damn happy with it. Obviously, I have a slight water leak to fix. I need those bolts that hold the tank on, they go all the way through to the hopper, and they need to be sealed up. And like I said, I need a real valve on that side, but otherwise, everything else is pretty good. And I'm pretty damn happy with it. It was well worth the wait, I'd say that much. Now I've got to buy another EK mag so I can run this and the Witty side by side at the same time. I think that'd be pretty neat. Then I can do a real comparison video between a hit and miss and a throttle govern. And it'd be kind of a cool thing to show at you know, at the Power Association shows and whatnot. But yeah, I could sit here and watch this thing run all day now. It's just a pretty smooth running engine. Something else I think would be neat would be to get a flat belt pulley to put on there, and actually see if I could run some sort of piece of equipment with it. You know, either a water pump or a fan or something, or a canvas belt. It'd be kind of neat. Kind of want something like that so I can run it with the Witty too, because that's already got the flat belt pulley on it. But this makes 2 out of 3 flywheel engines that I know show ready at this point. Especially after I get the mag, then I can run this and the Witty side by side. I actually have one more hit and miss which hasn't been shown on YouTube just yet, because it also still needs some work, and I'm going to wait until I have that one pretty much done to show it. But that's a really unique, interesting engine. It's pretty early too, so at some point in the future I'll get around to making a video on it. But pretty happy with this one. And yes, that is actually the original gas tank. That's how they look, with the filler neck coming up and out like that. Obviously, it's been worked on and messed with a little bit, but it's there and it holds gas, so I can't complain too much. And like every other Fuller & Johnson that I've seen, both ears were busted off the carburetor. The bottom one's all there, but it's been brazed back on. The top one, chunk of it's missing, it looks like that. But this thing's probably lived a kind of hard life. But now it's in a pretty easy retirement, I would say. But as you see, this is definitely one you put cardboard under. Being as well lubricated as it is, and having no base or, sub-base under it to catch any of that oil, it kind of dumps oil all over the ground. Especially if you flood it out while starting it, which sometimes you have to do. But yeah, like I said probably 100 times now, I'm pretty damn happy with it. And I think we'll go ahead and shut her down here. Just flip that back up so I don't forget. And yeah, I think this is definitely going to be at the next show, whenever that is. I'm going to see if I can make the fall Power Association show with going up to school and whatnot. I'm going to try, but there's no guarantees. So if not, it'll be the spring one. But definitely want to get this one out to a show because it hasn't been there yet. But yeah, pretty damn happy with it. So anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what you see, hit the little like and subscribe buttons. I'd appreciate that. By all means, leave a comment if you have one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.